If you took one side, the professor would play the devil's advocate. It taught you how to think. The only kids in this school who are getting a decent education, and it's not really that decent because their professors are all on the left, are the conservative kids. Because if they have to defend the ideas that they have, which means they get the two sides. The kids on the left, bright as they are, get only one side. And they're never tested in their assumptions. It's a great tragedy. And I found two leftist professors. I did this for 7 years. I've written 5 books on the subject with the solutions, and I tried every which way. I tried to put intellectual diversity in the diversity, they have these, this school probably spends millions every year, probably $10 million. And it's got diversity deans and diversity offices. All you have to do is insert intellectual diversity. Could not get it done. It's a big problem. It's a big problem. I think the internet is a great pluralizer. If you want the information, it's up there on the internet. You just have to have an open enough mind to look for it. And I don't know that there's truth. There are truths. Yeah.
Hey, I have a quick question for you. A poll came out today saying that 52% of registered Mississippi Republicans believe that Barack Obama is a Muslim. And I was just kind of curious about your thoughts on that idea and why so many people do.
I think I've written a whole pamphlet on Barack Obama. I think he's an incredibly dishonest human being. I think he makes Bill Clinton look like a boy. He makes Bill Clinton look like a Boy Scout. I haven't the foggiest idea. I've seen the videos. I've seen him say he's a Muslim. In the video. I actually saw a video the other day. When I was a kid, Tom Mix was listening to the radio. We didn't have TVs, and he had the slogan, "I believe only nothing that I hear and only half of what I see." With Obama saying, "I was born in Kenya," his own lips, everything. I mean, what do I know? I don't think he identifies with this country as it is. He identifies, as leftists do, with the future America that they're going to create. I think that he has played a terrible role in encouraging the Muslim Brotherhood and the Islamic revolution in the Middle East. So I don't have an answer to that question.
I have a comment before I ask the question. I'm the father of an Iraq War veteran, and it is very distressing to me for him to be considered a victim or in some way damaged by that. I do feel it was a waste of his time going there, but I don't think our soldiers should be spoken of in that way. My question to you is, having gone through sort of a change through my life as you have, perhaps not as radical, and reaching an epiphany with Ronald Reagan, I'm wondering if you can help me understand, as well as for young students, how it is that people of our maturity still hold on to progressive fantasies, even when they should know better.
I think I'm sorry. Look, one of the reasons for having the fantasy is because you can't face the world as it is. It's sad, but I'm trying to think of a simple example, but it's very hard to come to terms with reality. Conservatives are rooted in the real world. They accept the limits on people. People are not going to change dramatically. There's not going to be a world in which there's equality. Well, look at it this way. Madison, who was one of our founding conservative fathers, pointed out that there's an ineluctable, inescapable conflict between liberty and equality. Why? because people aren't equal. Some people are smarter than others. Some people are prettier than others. Some people have more energy than others. Some people just can see an opportunity better than others. That creates inequality every single day. So in order to have equality, you have to take away their liberty to express themselves and reap the rewards. Now, that means that conservatives who believe that, as Madison did, have to look at the world and say, well, maybe we can make an improvement here, an improvement there, but basically, there's always going to be inequalities among people. There are some people that you can't help. You know, it's like the homeless. You give them a home. That doesn't help the problem. They're homeless for other reasons than that they didn't have a home. So it's, you know, it's just a matter of people. You just keep, I actually wrote a book about my change. And it's true, it was fairly dramatic. I was depressed for 7 years. I lost all my friends. It was like, you know, so who wants that? I mean, if you have the choice. The people are risk averse, and for good reason. But it's pretty painful going through it. You know, there are a lot of marriages that are there because it's just too painful to do what needs to be done. That doesn't mean that every marriage is like that, but there are plenty that are like that. So I don't think it's a good question, but I don't think it's hard to understand why people stay in that vein. And then, of course, we have now, it used to be that you paid a price for identifying with communists or identifying, you know, with the parallel terror. You don't pay that price anymore. Angela Davis, a communist hack, but I despise that woman when I consider myself a Marxist revolutionary. She did. She got a Lenin Prize from the worst satellite dictatorship, East Germany. She's a liar. I can't go on, you know, on and on about this woman. Her name is now on a federal courthouse as a great political figure. And she has been lionized. She's got six-figure salaries. She's like a university professor at the University of California. What she writes is drivel. And I don't say that about every leftist. But what she writes is drivel. So there's just great rewards for being, identifying with communists, for maintaining the fantasy. And this, what leftist has to go to college campuses with a bodyguard, as I do, and gets to speak to 10 students? I mean, you know, I'm not that famous, but at my level of notoriety, come on, you know. And I won't tell you the struggles that these kids had to get funding to make this possible. So the rewards are all on the other side, and that keeps people. And then, when I actually changed, I realized that I would have been insulted if you had said this to me while I was a leftist. But the fear of losing your friends is incredibly powerful. And leftists don't understand how free a universe the conservative one is. Conservatives disagree about everything. Leftists, if you cross an invisible line, you're a dead person.
David?
We'll take
One more.
one more. Well,
Let-
yeah.
I got a question, and I'd like to put aside the word leftist, conservative, what have you. What my concern is, and I look at the sea change in our Congress, in our administration, how I guess where Israel was in favor by most American, most Congress, most administrations, the sea change has gotten us to a point when it's the rare individual who stands fast for our American, we'll call values, and that would be a Joe Lieberman. Where have all the Liebermans gone?
Yeah, I have to say, I mean, I have a great admiration for Lieberman. And it's because he stood up against, particularly on the Iraq War. He didn't change when they all flipped. And, you know, they all have presidential ambitions. I thought that was very noble of him. You know, There are very few. It's very sad. I think it's terrible that the country is so polarized. I think the polarization began with the McGovern election. It began actually with the SDS riots. The riots that Tom Hagen organized at the Chicago political convention in the Democratic Party, which were designed to defeat Hewitt Humphrey because he had supported the Vietnam War. And they did succeed in doing that. And then they all marched into the Democratic Party, even though they were all small c communists. They infiltrated the Democratic Party, and they changed the rules, and they've been radicalizing that party ever since. And now there's this. I've got a new book coming out in June. It's about the left-wing money machine. I mean, there's this mythology that the Republicans of the Tea Party people are the rich. The funding on the left is like 10 to, actually, that's very modest, 10 times what the funding on the right is. And now you have really corrupt figures like Soros, who's funding all this stuff. Very bad times for our country, but I have great faith in the American people, and we'll see. We will see. For the students who are here, I'm going to finish now, but for the students who are here, look, the most important thing is not that you have the correct opinions now, or don't. The most important thing is that you get to hear two sides and weigh them without having a pressure to decide one way or the other. And if you don't have that, you're not getting a decent education at this institution. And all I can do is encourage you to create two sides. You know, create a forum where the two sides can be heard on this issue. The demonstration here is an example of a totalitarian mindset. Not one of them. They all came together, of course. They came with the plan. But you would think one would say, well, you know, I've never heard this stuff before. I'm going to listen to it and see what I can make of it and see, you know, how I can argue against it. Not one of them. That should be frightening, because while it's all very benign right now, in a situation which is not benign, they will act in unison in the same way to a command. Very dangerous. Anyway, thank you all. You've been a great day.
I'd like to thank everyone for coming out. It's a great event. If you want to stay for your call, thank you very much.